This episode is supported by battlefilm.com.
Greek mythology rages to life in mythic battles pantheon. Become a god and command heroes and monsters in a battle for Olympus at beastsofwar.com. High-octane anime action is the name of the game in Relic Knights. Mount up in your mecha and battle for glory at our Relic Knights hub on beastsofwar.com.
Hey everyone, welcome to The Weekender. I'm joined this week by us, Justin,
Morning.
of course Ben, and then there's myself, Lloyd. It's been a busy week on the site, and it was busy last week. And talking about last week, which is Blood and Plunder week, I want us to start off the show by letting people know who's actually won those awesome prizes.
Alright, you all made it?
Yeah, go ahead, Justin.
Alright, so we had 3 two-player starter bundles up for grabs, including 2 nation packs of your choice, a rulebook, and the card decks that you're going to need to play. So everything you need to get you and me into the game. We have 3 winners. Our first winner is from Facebook. So if you watch on Facebook, come across the Beast of War, we have a drop down where you can actually claim your prize. The winner is, now if I mispronounce your name, I do apologise, Edu Laura. E-D-U-L-O-R-A. Edu Laura.
And that's just one.
That's number 1. Number 2 comes from Beast of War. So from the home ground, it's Breacher. Congratulations, get your prize claim in, mate. And our last one is from YouTube. So again, if you're on YouTube, our prize claims are on beastofwar.com. Up in the top right-hand corner, there's a little drop-down that says Contact Us. And in there, you'll find the prize claim form. You have 30 days to claim your prize. The winner from YouTube is Mark Traver.
Wow.
Love it.
You kept everyone on tenterhooks for ages there.
Oh, you know me, I'm a T.
All the YouTube commenters just like, come on.
We will put those in the notes as well,
Yeah.
just in case you have butchered anybody's name there.
Yeah.
Okay, like Justin says, if you've heard your name called out or you see it in the notes, come on over to beastofwar.com. There is a we contact us type drop down thing, and there is a claim your prize form.
Yes.
And that's
Also,
how
do your
you
jammy
make
dance
sure
right now.
you're a winner.
Yeah.
Right, we've got more prizes coming up. No less than 26 prizes, but we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Let's not get too excited too quickly.
Yeah.
Right, I was speaking about Blood and Plunder there. We just came off a couple of weeks ago of an epic Blood and Plunder week.
Yeah.
Man, I was enjoying that week so much.
It was a fun one to get into.
And now we've got some epic Fabled Realms content that's been going out. It started on Thursday.
Yes.
We had the Kickstarter chat.
Yes.
And then
basically
yesterday we had the
an
demo
introduction to it.
game.
Yep, now we have a demo game. And coming next week, we have more games, sort of focusing more in on each of the factions and some faction chats to come out as well. So basically, myself and John have chose a side of peace and we're learning about them on our own.
Ooh, I believe we're kicking off with the Dragoi.
Dragoi.
The Dragoi on Monday.
Not Dragoi. Dragoi.
The Dragoi.
Dragoi.
The Dragoi.
Dragoi.
Tomato, tomato. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that.
They don't eat tomatoes or tomatoes. They're flesh eaters.
It's red.
They're like me. That's why I took them as my faction.
But not only that, we have the TheTerrainTutor on. I just want to give a shout out to the TheTerrainTutor who's still pressing on with his epic build for the Fabled Realms. He's building the actual map to the world in like a 3D version of it out of polystyrene and...
I can't believe what he does with the stuff you just find around the house. Seriously.
So I'm really looking forward to that. He's been doing his updates, like you say, as the guy just grabs this and this and this.
I know. It makes it look so easy. I'm going to take this foam, just going to hack a bit off here, hack a bit off there. Mel's just like hack, 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 and now it's a rock. I'm like, what? Hold on, where did that just transform? They're amazing.
I do that. So I know an expert when I see one.
Yeah. But it's that kindred spirit you have.
It's interesting because he described the map to me that he was going to do this project a few months back. And up until he started doing it, I still didn't know what he meant. What's this? How's this going to visualize? Is it going to have little forests and things? But then I seen the scale of the map, and I was like, all right, it's much more of a way out version of the map. So you're not going to have forests. You'll have hills, but not individual hills. You'll have rolling landmass and stuff like that.
Whenever he said he was going to do a 3D version of it, I instantly assumed that it was going to be like, clay molding, actually sculpting the different topography, I think's the word. Of actually how the world would look.
Well, he essentially is. It's just on a grand scale.
It,
I wonder what's he going to... Are you going to try and put trees on it? Are you? Little tiny ones? Ben. I was just going to bring Ben on this. Ben, you've been enjoying this too, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been really good. It's been fascinating watching it all come together. I mean, the big thing for this week was obviously he was working on the mountains and stuff, which were a little bit of a secret earlier in the week. So yeah, it's been really fascinating seeing some of the processes he's been working on for creating those. So it'll be very, very nice to see where this sort of translates over the next couple of weeks as well, to see it all come together. Adding some paint on it as well later down the line, which would be pretty cool. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
I'm desperate to run a campaign on it.
This image here. Now you really get the sense of how the landmass will look. And I love all the wee rivers and everything that's being carved into it. It's going to look cool. It's going to look epic up on someone's wall. I don't know if he gets to keep it or if it's being shipped off to the foreground guys.
I think the foreground guys may have specifically requested this one from Mel.
We got to borrow it. We got to get it for a week or two and do a campaign across that.
Mel,
I'm game.
Mel, there's a gap above my bed, and this would look amazing.
Anywho,
Mel, birthdays are coming, son.
Birthday's just over, Mel. Mel, did you send me anything? No? Well, how about the foreground map? I'll take that. Yeah, so it's awesome. And there's a Kickstarter and stuff coming this week, or is it started, Ben, for the Fabled Realms?
Kicked off on the 30th.
Yeah, it has already started. So the Kickstarter's live and kicking for you to go and check it out and get stuck into it. Yeah.
The Kickstarter is live and kicking. Did you really just do that bit?
I did, yes.
Are you proud of yourself?
90s.
Awesome stuff. Now, speaking of Kickstarters and stuff, Ben, there's a Kickstarter live Kickstarter Watch sort of live blog that started to kick off on the website, because we've just talked about TheTerrainTutor's live blog. Now we have another live blog that's coming online for us to be interested in.
Yeah, so this is going to become a sort of permanent feature of the sort of sidebar of the main website for the next couple of weeks and months and stuff as we sort of pull it together. And this is by a community member, Fishman, also known as Andy, who's been sort of doing a lot of stuff in the community side of things in the forums, showing off new Kickstarters and stuff every week. We've now decided to migrate that onto the main portion of the website, so you'll be able to log in there, check out loads of really cool Kickstarters that are coming up. There's always usually a little bit of a video and a little bit of a description about it as well. So this sort of keeps you up to date on things that are happening throughout the week. We'll then potentially in the future be sort of bringing it into the weekend conversations as well, dipping in there to see what's going on the side of Kickstarter and maybe some things we might have missed as well. So should be pretty cool to see that still comes together, and Andy's been working very, very hard at it. So yeah.
Awesome stuff, because I know we do talk about Kickstarters and stuff on the show, but there are so many of them. You couldn't possibly ever mention all of them.
This is the thing, right? I love this idea because there's so much to keep track of, and having it all in one place is great, but my wallet is terrified. Like, the thought of seeing all of this together in one big long blog, updated all the time by Fishman, I can't look at it. I'm going to end up buying everything.
Oh. Well, I do have to admit, I did get a message from one of our mates, Jerry Avernos from the site today, just going, could you guys maybe not show Fabled Realms? No, because it's cool and amazing. But my wallet, yes. So, if you like it, go for it.
Damn you, Fishman. Damn you. Torturing people's wallets. Yeah, it's good. But it is great to see all the Kickstarters, because no, we don't all have limited funds. I suppose it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because some of us don't have as much funds as like billionaires who can back everything. And then you're trying to find those items. But in doing so, you're just going, oh, I want that, but I can't. I must reserve myself.
Yeah, you see, for me, I'm not so bad, because I can do maybe one Kickstarter a month. One a month, and so long as I don't go nuts on the actual pledge level, I'm okay.
You're going through your budget, food, clothes, heating, Kickstarter allocation every month.
Well, I mean, like, whenever one grabs my attention, I don't do it every single month. The Kickstarter has to grab my attention. It's not just me going, I'll fund that one.
There's so much to choose from. It's great.
But whenever one does grab you, you should jump in on it, because the whole point of Kickstarter is people are bringing their ideas to you, wanting to bring new games to the industry. So I think this is a really great thing.
Yeah.
Did you not get like convinced in it on a Kickstarter last week?
Oh, no. I just looked at it and went, mine.
Yeah.
we went through the run and I was just like, yeah, I'm having that. There was no thought to it. It was just like, what's that?
We have some cool Kickstarters coming up in the show this week. We have an especially cool one, which we put in backstage just to torture you.
Oh, it's awful. My wallet's just terrified.
Just sitting there like, no.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it, though.
Right. Moving on, we do have 26 prize winners.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, 26 prizes is a lot to go through. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the details of who's won what in the shows. But I believe that Ben is going to do How was it described as?
I don't want to say pokey rap, but it's going to be... He's going to do his best to get through all 26 names nice and smoothly, but you'll be able to catch them below if you need to, but this'll... Go on, Ben. I'll not build up anymore.
The pokey rap. Here we go. Let's do it. Let's hear it, Ben. The pokey rap of the 26 prize winners from UK Games Expo. Go.
Okay. Neoscream, Battlehawk, Morreion, alninio, red, white, harigeri, jmrecoil, Dogma 206, norgalad, Lego Dog, Lego Dwarf, damn,
Lego Dwarf,
Taman, Beef, Daft Cheese, Otaga Girl, Black Battery, Deadhead, Zoid Pinhead, Space 2020, Comaron, Tim Roth, Lord Bob, Baronora, Carabus, and K-Bog.
Hey!
So if Ben mangled your name into that strangeness of word sounds, check the description below on beastofwar.com. We have a full list of the prize winners, who you won from, and what you won.
Yeah, you want to check that just in case he skipped one, but during that...
Yeah, I think he skipped more than a few.
I think he might have missed one or two.
No. That was the full 26 I will have now.
100%.
Yeah.
Respect.
I ain't no slouch.
Yeah, well, there's one you definitely got wrong, which was Otaku Girl.
Yes, that's the one.
Otaku Girl! That is a lot of jammy dancing
Yeah.
going on right now.
I'm seeing like a little Mexican wave of jammy dances spreading out around the world.
No, what I'm picturing right now is a flash mob of jammy dancers. You just turn up in the middle of the street and just go whoosh, into their jammies. We all won! We're doing the jam... Oh, no, never mind.
They're all across the world. How are they getting to the same place?
Well, in my mind, I can picture whatever I want.
I would like to see a little map of where these 26 people are and where all the prizes are going to go out to. Very cool. 26 UK Games Expo prizes. I'm jealous.
That would be cool because it was open to like winners from all over the world. Yeah. So, I mean, it would be cool. Yeah. I don't know if it's doable, but it is cool.
Hit the claim button. Yeah.
Right. Let's get stuck on into the show proper. Justin, I believe that we have Warren and Carlos in the studio to give us the lowdown on what's happening with Wotan.
Yeah, so as everybody knows, Strikezone Wotan has now been running for a little while, so a lot of battle reports have been rolling in, and Carlos has came across, and okay, you know Carlos is across, you know what's happening, we're filming some stuff. But he wanted to actually get in here into the studio and sit down and give you an update on how the campaigns are going, and pick out a few of his favourites. So, we'll take a quick hub break here, and we'll be right back.
From Viking halls to the cities of the future, terrain buffs will love our foreground hub. Watch gaming tables of all genres come to life at beastofwar.com. Progress comes to a world of magic as science and the arcane combine to make marvels. Meet steampunk inventors and orc mystics at the Volsun Hub on beastofwar.com.
Okay, so it's time for a Strikezone Wotan update. There has been an Infinity campaign running, and while we had Carlos in the studio, we wanted to get him in to pick him brains, go over a few charts and graphs, because we all love that kind of stuff, and really just to get a catch up on where the campaign has been going, and look at some of the choice battle reports, and name drop a few of you amazing commanders as well. So, Carlos, phase one, we're in phase two, a quieter kind of a phase. There's secret missions kind of bubbling under the surface. Yeah. Okay. Phase one closed. Phase one was enormous.
Yeah, huge.
So let's talk a little bit about what happened in phase one. I'll kick off with the map of phase one. So we had the following ships. So Strikezone Wotan. Carlos, what's the basic backstory to the campaign?
Well, of course, the Infinity factions, all of them have tension because they are the human factions are always willing to be number one, and above everything else is the alien menacing presence that at some point is willing to enter in the human sphere. One of the key points of the blockade against the aliens is the Wotan Gate.
Yeah.
That you have there a lot of...
so that's these two components here on the map, yeah?
This is the Wotan Gate, yeah.
That gate communicates the Paradiso system with the Svalarheima system. There is presence of every faction there, and there is a lot of security measures and a cluster of defense. And I mean, it's not a weak spot for humanity. It's something that has been fairly defensed. At some point, one nomad spaceship in a security search, they were found aliens inside that nomad spaceship, and that creates a crisis, an opportunity, a lot of stuff happened because the factions used that excuse, that failure on the nomad security measures, to blame of the nomads as smugglers, as everything that what they could pull out of that situation, of that weak moment.
Fake news!
Totally.
So it's that moment of, look, we can no longer trust you. I'm afraid you're going to have to submit to search and seizure.
It's even better than that. It's that moment of, something bad's happened. There's an opportunity.
Totally. And Yuqing, which was totally against the nomads for the defeat that they suffered in the previous campaign, the Flame Strike, Flammy Island, took the chance to diplomatically and tactically and strategically smash the nomads in every possible way, saying, we are going to search all your spaceships and all your battle stations. We do not take you seriously in terms of security. You have put humanity to risk with your smuggling and your black business and everything. So you no longer have authority to say anything to humanity. And now, if the United Nations of the future are not taking an active role on this, we will take it. That kind of behavior.
Yeah.
And that created tension in the Wotan blockade, and that created that suddenly military ships, military crews appear on the zone, and every faction decides to increase the presence on Wotan, and that tension leads to secret missions, skirmishes, stuff happening.
Yeah.
So that's the fluff starting point. Okay. And of course, then the players come and the players play the missions and the players execute military actions, and also the aliens obviously see the opportunity also because humanity is totally distracted, killing among themselves. It's time to conquer the Wotan blockade. That is the fluff explained by me with my words. Okay.
if you want to get to grips with the background and stuff like that, the documents are available over at wotan.warconsole.com. You can set up an account, download the documents, and if you fancy, you can get involved, pick a faction, get stuck in. So we had some choice kind of moments in phase one, but we're going to do a little bit of a faction review here, Carlos.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And where possible, I've got some interesting charts to kind of show you guys as well. So, Pan-Oceania. What's been the verdict on Pan-Oceania so far?
First of all, Pano, after the first weeks, it was obviously that Pano was the faction that had the biggest amount of players participating in Wotan. So you can see a graphic with a blue column bigger than the rest. So that means that more players are playing with this faction, are participating with this faction. That means more battles and more results. That having a bigger amount of players goes against the percent efficiency, because if you play more battles, it's more difficult for you to have an increased level of success. There are more valuables there. Okay, so what we have with the scoring system is that the Pano had 2 locations to defend in phase 2 and in phase 1 and also in phase 2.
We can actually see those in Sick Tier 2
and Sick Tier 1, part of the Sick Tier defense cluster. So that was intentionally designed by Corvus Belli in order to make the big factions have to defend more ground and that have to divide their forces, essentially.
Because the thing is, it's when you come into these campaigns, we talk about balance. Campaign is not like a game that you play on your tabletop. In the campaign, there is an asynchronous aspect to it, in that every war has smaller factions and larger factions. So in the narrative, what we saw coming from Corvus Belli was giving the larger factions more to lose to open up the opportunity for the smaller factions to kick more butt. And we have been seeing that.
Essentially that. It's not a competitive event, it's a narrative event, but some of their features were designed with that kind of storytelling in mind. Okay, because it's narrative overall. So suddenly we have Pano there, and Pano at the beginning of the campaign in phase 1, it was like, probably because there was a bigger amount of players, it was difficult to find leadership on that huge amount of players playing. So it felt like they were dividing themselves over all the locations. There is Pano presence on all the locations.
Yeah.
But they didn't become super strong in one particular location.
Yeah, we didn't see any major aggression from
Pano.
Pano.
Yeah.
They really were. They really did start to castle in the two sick tier points and really focus on the
Was there
defensive.
much
But
attack
that is a psychological effect that every faction has. Oh, this location is red. Is my location. I play there to defend it.
Yeah.
Because it will be humiliating to lose it. Everybody behaves like that. We knew that since the beginning. The people, first thing they do is defend their location. Pano, apart from defending the location, behave like tourists.
Yes, just little visits.
Just here. But you didn't see any intimidating Pano presence in the rest of the location.
I think it was a case of the Pano never really were aggressive enough in one point to break it open enough to smell an opportunity to really go for it. And a lot of that was down to some of the smaller factions got organized very quickly. And started to make their presence felt in different locations.
And we will reach that point. Okay. So at the same time, nothing was menacing Pano pretty much during the first weeks of the campaign, and also we must mention that because the phase 1 the tension was rising, the factions who had already dominated locations for them did have an advantage in points on that location, which was a big advantage at the moment. So it was difficult to take over those locations because of that advantage. But looking at the numbers, at some point you will find that in Sector 1, the Combined Army, which is a faction that didn't have any ground to defend, obviously they focused their efforts in attacking Pano, attacking the big dog. Okay, and at some point, Combined Army was able to take over, even with that advantage, to take over the Sector 1 the location from Pano, which is a huge impressive achievement in my opinion, because Pano is the biggest faction and has a lot of advantage there. So for me that was the first big achievement of the campaign, and there was an update made. I happened to be looking at the map when that happened, and I was able to
get a screenshot.
Screenshot,
because these things can change quite quickly. It's,
oh well, keeping track of the campaign is a full-time job. I mean, it's a huge amount of data. You cannot, you have to live looking at the screen really. And also during phase 1, at the La Forja mobile shipyard, there was a lot of intensity there, especially because those missions were new stuff that was not in ITS, so people were curious and a lot of people played there. Aleph and Ariadna, both of them did put a lot of effort in one of the locations, of the normal locations there.
Well, we will come to that, because I got some charts. Before we move off Panosiana, there's a couple of commanders we'd like to name drop. We have Thandar and Lewis Joy. Are totally bringing glory to their faction. Great job by
Louis
you
Joy
guys.
is becoming like the guy with the banner of the faction.
He's almost Pope-like, isn't he? There's a real Des Volt going on in there.
Totally.
Yu Jing. Okay, this is your faction, Carlos.
My faction, Yu Jing.
Now, Yu Jing, how are you doing?
Well, I decided myself not to reveal privileged information to Yu Jing this time. At some point I was suggesting stuff, because Yu Jing is the third biggest faction in amount of players, and it's a powerful faction, and it's a faction that can really deliver excellent attacks and stuff. What happened is that the Yu Jing was lucky because Yu Jing didn't have 2 locations to defend in phase 1, but I think that they didn't realize how lucky we were not to having 2 locations, because Nomads have 2 locations, Pano had 2 locations, Yu Jing 1 location. They should have been more ambitious. They should have being interested not only in defending but also in attacking some place.
Yeah.
Okay, but they did not. They just focused on their efforts on Shanqian, and I knew that in phase 2, Yuqing will get 2 locations. So that phase 2 for Yuqing is obviously defend.
Yes. Yeah.
And that requires a lot from us. Also, Imperial Service during the campaign received a boost because suddenly there was an Imperial Edict that allowed bounty hunters to be deployed in Imperial Service with certain advantages. They receive updated troop profiles.
Yeah.
So suddenly bounty hunters become regular troops in Imperial Service, which was like outraging for the rest of the factions. What? But it's an Imperial Edict. The Emperor signed
You guys are okay by me.
official document and allow that. If you cannot do that, it's because you don't have an Emperor, Okay.
No, they were defending Shanqian. I believe I actually have some charts for Shanqian. So let me just load her up here. And with a bit of luck.
Also, we know that Yuqing is like attractive to try to beat. People hate Yuqing, especially Pano, especially Nomads. Everybody seems to hate Yuqing, so they attack it like we have some kind of attractive to them. Also, our spaceship is the coolest, obviously. Shanqian,
you have a light frigate.
Oh, lovely, elegant.
Yeah. Well, this is the official kind of track of what you would have seen. So you've seen them starting with a 25-point lead, and then you see them the battle between them and Toha. Toha really organized themselves. Look how much Toha organized themselves here compared to all of the other factions.
Yeah.
And
it's so obvious that they at some point decide to go to for the Yuqing. And the rest of the factions lost interest.
Yeah, you see Pano, at the start kind of trying to get stuck in, but then Toha around the 3rd of June, 4th of June mark, saying, right, this is ours, we're going for this. Now, this is interesting because if I bring up the actual, what becomes the official, remember that War Console, depending on the campaign, but War Console runs on a system whereby what you're seeing live in the system is affected by fog of war. There can be propaganda in there, there can be lower quality reports and stuff like that are kind of counted as noise coming in from the front lines, lies, deceit, propaganda. So we run this thing called AI Historian, which is a much more sophisticated algorithm that scores battle reports on their trustworthiness. Okay, when we start to look at it like with that lens on, this is where we get to. Have a look at this.
Toha took it for a moment.
For a moment, Toha were right there. Now we have, for the benefit of this is a chart that we've used internally just to see the effectiveness of the factions. You'll also notice we removed the 25-point lead from there as well. So we just purely want to see on the basis of how the factions fought from a standing start. So we removed the initial advantages and stuff like that.
Yeah. Although it does look like Nomads took a little bit of an interest near the end. There's that bit of a spike there where it looked as if they were going to go for it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it just unfortunately didn't follow through. But look how close it actually was between Yuqing and Toha, and the effort that Toha started to put in. Now, that effort is not just fighting more battles. That effort is also quality of the battle reports
and effectiveness. And it's a huge achievement because Toha is the least played faction in the campaign. It's the faction that has the lowest amount of players. So they are beating the 3rd faction there. And we know that the Yuqing decided to defend their location. So the 3rd biggest faction defending is still being taken over at some point by the lowest faction.
Yeah.
Humiliating for Yuqing. Humiliating. So disappointed. I'm so disappointed with you guys.
Well, you know what you have to do in the current phase. Defend. Now you really have to defend. Oh, yeah. I can also show you another quick graph. It's because some people are interested in the size of the engagements and stuff that take place. So we actually do have that data. So on Shanqian, you can see that it's overwhelmingly 300-point battles. So these are not small battles that are taking place in the grand scheme.
300 points is the standard, and obviously, if we point at a specific mission in that location, while people is aware to allowed to play the mission that they want and stuff, obviously everybody follows the book, follows the okay, this is the standard. Let's do it like that. Especially probably in the nomad location, which were new missions, probably those were even more interesting for people.
Well, anyway, whatever way you look at it, the result didn't change. Yujing, although you had a shaky moment there where Toha were really starting to reach you on a performance level. When in the grand scheme of things, you did it. You managed to defend it. We got a couple of outstanding commanders that we want to mention.
From Yuqing, I would just like to point out Maranies and Von Butler as people who were making lovely battle reports and standing there for the faction, like standing proud.
Congratulations, guys! Amazing, amazing work. Right, moving on to Ariadna.
Ariadna.
Okay.
Possibly the best coordinated and organized faction during this campaign. They were not a big dog in the previous one, in the Flame Strike. They were doing well, but not impressively. Here, Ariadna is becoming a primary color of this campaign, standing up, conquering locations, being playing a major role in this campaign.
Well, in Phase 2, we have a couple of highlights. Ariadna have taken over Indra 3.
Yep.
I'm not sure if Indra 3 is on this map. Yeah, there it is there. So.
Yes, but that in Indra 3 in Phase 2 has 2 locations, 2 spots.
Yeah.
One of those belongs to Ariadna since the beginning. The other one is the Aleph location that has been totally taken by Ariadna in Phase 2.
Yeah.
So another achievement for Ariadna. And also Ariadna was so close to taking over La Forja in Phase 1. From as far as I know, they have pretty strong leadership there.
Yeah.
Someone is totally saying what must be done, and the whole faction responds to that, and that shows a lot of coordination, and that is also effectiveness.
It's interesting because another highlight, I suppose, of these kinds of campaigns is you're all kind of thrown in at the deep end. It's almost as if it's like your first day on the job. And you're arriving in the middle of a war breaking out, and it's up to the factions themselves within the briefing rooms to organize themselves, and they start to create command structures, leadership. Now, I've got to say a big shout out to Hack Islam on this one, because the Hack Islam guys reacted instantaneously to this.
Yes.
And what they did was that they realized early on how important leadership in the faction was. Yeah. So what they did is they immediately instituted the previous high command that had taken command on Flamia. Right. And helped to organize and inform and educate new players on just what was going to happen within this campaign, what to expect. And then,
so did they set up like boot camp threads?
After a very short period of induction and getting everybody organized, they then held elections and recreated the high command, including people from old and new.
Lovely.
And it was seamless how they organized themselves.
It took me a few days to realize about that, because in the rounded graphs of activity in the locations, you still see proportion and the rounded thing. But suddenly, when I was checking the amount of victories and results on all the locations, in the first week, the Ilical Fundak, the Hack Islam location, reached like 200 points. The huge advantage that the Hack Islam army made there was bigger than any other advantage of any other faction in any other location. So they obviously put a lot of effort in coordinating themselves.
The coordination is key. So for this campaign or any campaign, when you're dealing in global campaigns, coordination is utterly key. You need to be in the briefing rooms. You need to be interacting with each other, whether in character or out of character, but you need to interact, because it's only through your combined interactions that you can really have an impact on a campaigns like these ones. So big shout out to Ariadna, Akazlam, Nomads. A lot of you guys really got your act together very quickly.
Yeah, let me point out specific commanders. For Ariadna, commanders like Ekip Baguette and Drogmir are really performing very well, and I also have to point out that lovely battle reports by Terror and Napoleon. Lovely stuff. Really, a lot of self-involvement and time investment in those reports. Also for Hacky Slam, a faction that is behaving very impressively in this campaign, I would like to give a shout to Carty C55 and Sirin Bakarat. You know who you are.
Yeah.
Sirin Bakarat is really wearing the colors for this campaign for Hacky Slam.
Okay. Right. Nomads. You guys have made me smile through this entire campaign. Nomads are without doubt the party boys of the Wotan campaign. I cannot think of any of you now without you standing there just in a pair of leopard pants giving it this here. So it's like
Nomads are enjoying the propaganda thing of the campaign so much.
Yes, they are.
Okay, the Nomads are the number two contestant in this campaign in terms of amount of players. Okay, so they are number 2, but they, in my opinion, they are not quite delivering up to the number 2 role.
Yeah.
I mean, the La Forja was almost taken by both by Ariadna and Aleph in phase 1, and they were not able to defend Don Quixote in phase 2.
Yeah.
So they're suffering. I know that this may not be an isolated happening, an incident. Probably they have a strategy. Because in Flamia they were the best coordinated, in the previous campaign they were the most coordinated faction and did have the best ideas about when to report their battles. I can expect something from them.
Yeah.
I do not believe in these numbers. Really. I think there's something.
What's happening?
Yeah.
I will do not underestimate the Nomad faction. They're
Yes.
number 2, and at some point probably we will have a wave of reports or something like that. That is just my Yuching suspicious behavior. Okay?
There are moments in a campaign. All campaigns have their kind of peaks and troughs, and at the moment we're at that Bruce Lee breathing moment. So we're just waiting to see just if Nomads are regrouping themselves and getting ready for something. So
I would like to point at commanders like Tristan, 228, and Hydra as people who are achieving and reporting lovely reports for Nomads.
Well, while we're on the topic of Nomads, we can have a quick look at the La Forja to see how things actually transpired there. So. Here we had the mobile shipyard part of La Forja, and as you can see, Nomads utterly went to town on that. Yujing started to wake up a little bit, but they woke up just too late at the end there. I think it was a case of that Nomads had went so strong on it that it was disheartening. But as you can see, it wasn't the initial advantage. The initial advantage was almost entirely overcome by Toha. Within a couple of days. So the initial advantage itself wasn't, I don't believe, was such an issue in this. But what happened then is look at the curve, look at the steepness of the Nomad response to potentially losing the shipyard. Now we can have a look at that ratified then by the AI historian.
And the Toha did take over at the beginning.
So whenever we're removing the advantage, okay, and we're now scoring based on quality of battle reports and things. Look at Toha. If Toha had have been able to maintain, but bear in mind Toha did maintain it elsewhere. So it's but if they had maintained that, they would have. I think they could have maybe overcome the numbers. But it is quite overwhelming, the response from Nomads.
So we, analyzing the data, we can see that the least play faction did took over number 3 location and number 2 location against those factions. Faction number 2 and number 3. So that is a huge achievement.
It is a huge achievement for the smaller factions. Again, I can show you the scale of the battles and stuff that have been taking place. So again, it's the vast majority is your standard 300-point games. And then you have a smattering of your mid-range games and your starter games at 150 points. Let's look at what happened though on the other side of La Forja, because La Forja is joined by a gantry here, as you can see. So we've been looking at the back end there, the shipyard. It was the military harbor we were looking at. Yeah. Now we're going to the control deck, okay? So let's have a look at the control deck. So this was the as it happened.
Oh, that was really hard fought for.
there has been some fighting taking place here, hasn't there?
That's intense.
So here we have the nomads, and it's in this case Aleph and Ariadne really going at it with the nomads. But let me do the points adjustment now and show you what the AI historians saw. And you can see a little bit of a drop by Aleph. Now that is interesting. That is interesting because in the human sphere there was a moment towards the latter part of the campaign when the news feeds on the human sphere utterly erupted that that Aleph have managed to seize control from the nomads. And what we had a classic Rambo moment. Okay, the system doesn't make it easy for surprise attacks. So if you hold up all your reports and then you unleash them on the day, from a Flog of War perspective, people get all excited about this because the news reports say, "Oh, there's been a huge attack," and so on and so forth. But the reality, when things calm down, the reality sets in, and reports that are done like that never perform as well as reports that are fed out slow and steady, because time increases the value of reports. Okay, it's built into the platform that time just increases the value of them. So it can be done if you have enough organization within your faction. You could pull off a surprise attack. Okay, but for lone Rambos who come out and publish their 14 battle reports in one day, it looks impressive for a moment.
One guy, 14 battle reports in one day.
So what you see here in this one, you can see that spike between the 17th and the 18th, okay?
Yeah.
And for a brief moment, it actually did flip control, at least in the front end. For a brief moment, it gave the impression that control had been won by Aleph.
Right.
Now, the nomads were very quick to go, "Oh, this is unfair. This is unsportsmanlike. These surprise attacks." But they also had enough in the can to immediately respond as well. So it never actually registered on our charts. And then when the historians kick in, the actual view is even more stark, because at this point you can see that barely any increase. They're just tracking along with Ariadne, and look at Ariadne powering on. You were very, very close.
I mean,
Ariadne,
in my opinion, if Aleph and Ariadne did communicate among themselves, and one attacked one location of La Forja and the other one attacked the other location, it's like saying, Aleph, you will have the control deck, and we, Ariadne, will have the military harbor.
Yes.
One of those will have taken over the location.
I think so. I think if you guys had have coordinated, as Carlos says, and split, we would have seen the nomads would have been under serious pressure.
So some people were suggesting an alliance because for the nomads this was an attack, but it's not an alliance, because if they were allies, they will split the attacks, and one of the spots will be lost.
Yeah. Again, I can show you in terms of the battles fought. So again, overwhelmingly 300-point battles. This had the most battles, I believe, of any of the theaters.
No, I think Tier 1.
Was Tier 1?
Yeah, because Combined Army and Pano did have made a
massive fight. Yeah. So there you have it. Mostly 300-point battles, a larger proportion of 200-point battles than we've seen elsewhere, and a kind of similar number of your 150 lower point battles in there. So still a lot being deployed to that region. Okay. Back to Aleph.
Yeah. We were praising the achievements of the Toha, and Aleph is right there. I mean, second smallest faction in participation in amount of players in the campaign, and achieving incredible things, as you can see in the graphics. Almost taking over La Forja, and they have already take over Don Peyote.
Yes.
So they obviously play in the faction because Aleph and Nomads are rivals, totally enemies, and I've been reading in the internet that the campaign scoring system just favors the big factions. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing the smaller factions making the greatest achievements here. So, salute you to the Supreme AI. As a Yuchin player, you know, we get along very well with Aleph. Thanks for those Garuda attack bots and you know, Aleph staff in Imperial Service. Yeah. I would like to point at Pinoy Wargamer and Functionary Mal as commanders that are bringing glory to the faction, obviously.
Toha, let's talk a little bit about those guys. They were the smallest faction, least amount of players. But again, you know, they did really puff their chests out in phase 1. So it's
it's that coordination. They're focusing all the efforts, which is what you have to do with the smaller faction.
Yes, yeah.
It's like probably they have a very strong core of players that they are communicating and putting all the efforts, and this will be rewarded, guys. I mean, such achievements, being the smallest faction and being able to take over locations, that will be rewarded.
Yeah.
I mean,
your fluff will go down in history, believe me.
Oh yeah.
We'd like to point out a couple of commanders there, Dasal and Engron, totally bringing glory to their faction.
Yeah.
Finally, Combined Army.
Combined Army, big faction. I mean, among the average participation, and with no place to defend, no location to defend. So they obviously put their efforts in attacking. And they decided to mess with the big dogs. They were ambitious.
Yes.
Okay, they were not scared with the secret defense cluster. Everything to Pano.
Yeah.
Okay, and the first big achievement of the campaign, in my opinion, that for a brief moment they were able to take over Sector 1.
Yeah.
Which is a big achievement, totally. And even without getting in the AI history and data, the online live data, and even taking over the huge advantage that Pano has. That alone is a great achievement. Okay. Essentially. If I have to point at some commanders, I know that there are great commanders out there, friends of mine, hello. I would like to point at Sergeant Hulka and Kechao as main figures reaching
new heights.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, that wraps up. We have battle reports that we want you to see, and they're all in the show notes. I just want to quickly read out the names of the battle reports, okay? We can very quickly flash them up on screen, but I want you to go and check them out. Some of them are brilliant.
Some are excellent.
Okay, so we have Thandar from Pan-Oceania. So it's...
Phase 2, Don Peyote.
Phase 2. We have Lewis Joey on Pan-Oceania. Battle report there as well. Mariness from Yujing. Okay, we have Von
Look at
Blutcher.
this, look at this.
That's beautiful.
This amazing
heavily
stuff.
edited photos, almost with a narrative. That kind of battle reports counts very much.
Yeah.
And that adds glory to your faction, really.
Yeah.
Von Blutcher from Yujing has a great battle report up as well.
Look at
that one.
Nice. I love the way they're doing the sort of backward and forth, sort of old school video game
like,
thing. Before getting into the game.
yes, it's one of those RPGs.
Terror from Ariadna.
Look at that,
Isn't this
a comic.
look at it. It's
A
amazing,
comic,
isn't it?
I love the way some people are going so to town on their stuff.
Look at that, with dialogues and everything. With dialogues in battle reports. I mean,
That's cool.
what's not to love about that?
Napoleon from Ariadna. Oh, look
Oh,
at this.
beauty.
It's a
Premium war
Took the
comic.
time to make those images, to look at that.
loving the gaming tables as well here. So
Yeah.
we have a Quip Baguette from Ariadna. Look at that.
That's very clearly
Taking
laid
time
out.
to explain the action.
Very nicely done.
Isn't that really cool?
Keeping track of where everybody is.
We
Very
have
nice.
Yeah.
Drogmir from Ariadna as well.
Very nice. I love this table.
Yeah, Carti C55 from the Hack-Islam. There's some beautiful details and image galleries in that one.
Oh, that lovely building.
We have Serene Baccarat from the Hack-Islam.
Yeah, Sirin Baccarat is a very active player for Hack-Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, lovely. with close-ups and stuff.
Tristan 228 for the Nomads. Oh, this is so cool.
Nice.
Oh, I love your gaming table, man. We have Hydra for the Nomads. Look at that. This is some seriously cool stuff, guys.
He's actually put some video content in here.
Oh,
too.
yes. Some of these guys love putting the soundtrack of their battles.
Yeah.
It is great.
That's a good idea.
Sergeant Hulka for the Combined Army.
Oh, look at this one.
It's not just...
Oh, so it's all done as just this comic strip. That's cool. See if we can bring it up. Nice.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Please, I'll bring that up for you. Yeah, so go and check it. Go and check these out. We have Kachow for the Combined Army. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, that table is lovely.
That's a really cohesive table. It's lovely.
Oh, that's very cool. I want to find out how you built that. And we have Engron for the Toha. Oh,
Showing off deployment areas.
nice stuff again, yeah.
Beautifully done.
We have Dasan for the Toha.
With the sheep over there.
Oh, I love this table. The way this is laid out as if it's like a little outpost is beautiful.
Yep. And we have Pinoy Wargamer for Aleph.
Oh, yes.
There is some really, really cool battles and pictures in these
I want
guys.
to take... Look at this. Impressive. They also, the players immediately saw how to build, images and text and take all the tools that you allow them to have when making a battle report, and they're building beautiful pieces, really.
Yeah. And then finally we have Functionary Mal from Aleph.
Pacific Rim theme tune.
Yeah. And there we go.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Nice table.
Okay, all of the links for those are in the show notes. Thank you very much, guys. Phase 2 is underway with all the preparations and stuff like that taking place for the final phase.
Yeah, that will happen in July 10th.
Yeah.
July the 10th. That will be Phase 3, the beginning of Phase 3, with the latest changes on the map and the last 2 weeks to play the campaign and decide who has won.
If you haven't participated or have never participated in anything like this, it's not too late. You can join in at any time. So go create yourself an account, drop into the briefing rooms, introduce yourselves, and the high commands in the briefing rooms will wrap you up in their lovely warm arms, take care of you, and explain to you what you need to do and how you can get involved and get results for your faction. Carlos, look, thanks for dropping in, mate. It's been lovely to get a catch up on this. Okay, guys, go get stuck in to Strikezone Wotan.
Hi, I'm Chris Hanley, and I'm from Dark Days Radio, and you're watching The Weekender on beastofwar.com.
Oh, interesting stuff. It's always very interesting to see how the campaigns go, and especially with like Infinity, because they have so many different factions all vying for control, and then they do that cool thing of saying, what happens in the campaign is actually going to affect the story, and things like that. It's always interesting.
It's always nice to see the user engagement we get with these Infinity campaigns, because everybody jumps in and gets really into it, and like the forums and stuff. My favourite part of this has to be those faction-specific forums where people are jumping in, planning out their attacks, where are we going to be playing our games to actually, swing the battle one way or the other towards our faction.
I just love battle reports. I love seeing people saying, here's a game we played, and here's how it all played out, putting a bit of theme to it, a bit of setting, and adding all these stories into one overall game-changing setting. Like that's, can't get that anywhere else.
And it's because of that we put extra time and attention into the actual battle report system this time. So when you're making your battles, you can actually put in paragraphs of text, but say, oh, actually I want that image up there. And then if you change your mind, you can swap them around as little buttons and stuff. It's all really cool because a lot of people like yourself just soak up the battle report and go, awesome stuff. Right, I'm going to move us on into the news because we've got quite a lot of stuff coming up. Ben, I'm going to come to you. What's up first in the news, mate?
So first off, we've got some stuff from Games Workshop and a sort of continuation of everything that's coming out for Warhammer 40,000 8th edition. They recently showed off a couple more previews of some of the new Space Marine models that are coming their way. So there is also a new Captain and also a new Librarian model which are coming out, which look very, very cool. They're presented in the sort of new Mark 10 armor, which is pretty awesome. I'm really quite liking the look of the new Librarian, and in specific actually as well, I quite like the way they're now painting power swords. It's a very small and weird thing, I suppose I'd say, but I really like the new sort of crackle of energy that they've done across the blades and stuff with all the official models. But yes, very, very cool look on the power blades.
Why are his eyes blue?
Because he's a psyker and he's harnessing psychic energy.
Oh, okay, all right.
I think he looks sweet.
Yeah, he does. And do you know what? Even seeing the new models, just the small detail of having his torso twisted slightly back as he's kind of had the sword back and then has the hand forward. Those little changes they've made when you see them in the flesh.
Yeah,
fantastic. Bring the model to life.
If we go back to the first one, new captain. I haven't been on the show since the new stuff came out, but I'm actually really liking the direction they've gone in because I kind of got to that stage where a Space Marine was a Space Marine. I'd seen it all before, and then this came out, and I was like, oh, I actually do really like the refresh.
Yep. Then there's something very new for the Space Marines that you'll not have seen before.
Yeah.
Which is this new unit. Who are these guys, Ben?
Ooh, hello.
Okay, so these guys are the Reavers, and the idea behind these guys is they're effectively like the Primaris version of, I guess you'd say, Scouts. So you've got the Scouts for the irregular Marines, and then these guys are the sort of behind enemy lines, sneaky, stabby guys that go ahead of the main force. So they're like Special Forces Space Marines. And since Space Marines are effectively Special Forces anyway, this makes these guys like Special Forces, maybe? I don't know. But yeah, they're very, very cool. I like the look of these. So.
Super secret Special Forces.
And they show off all the cool work they've been doing on the shoulder pads. Yeah, I like this new sort of carved out area in the shoulder pad to break up that just boom. It's one big round thing. It's no longer one big round thing. And I also like the fact that this contrasts now against the Chaos Space Marines. I'm assuming they're not changing the look of the Chaos Space Marines as much because the stuff that I've been seeing, I think there is some stuff.
Well, there's
with
some
this
Nurgle
pack.
stuff.
Like, where do you see this? Okay, so they still have a more traditional sort of shaped. Obviously, it's got spikes and things coming out of it, but it helps differentiate. You know, Marines from Chaos Marines and stuff like that. So I'm kind of hoping maybe as they go forward that the new shaped pads don't make it onto Chaos.
You see, I don't know, because you get some people converting them.
Yeah.
And maybe have some of the new chapters falling to Chaos. So you might see some very cool conversions of the new Mark 10 power armor into Chaos stuff.
Well, I guess you can fall into Chaos, so that would make sense. But
not to mention you have some of the Chaos Legions that as they lose gear, they will actually just steal gear from, you know, whoever they've killed. So, you know, power armor is a universal system. It'll pretty much bolt on onto anything. So, you know, my shoulder pad's busted. Oh, there's a bad guy with one.
I don't know, because it's quite a different design and you can't just take power armor off anything and stick it on, I would assume.
All the power armor is just interchangeable as far as I remember.
Let's get back. Sorry.
So, yeah, one of the cool things actually about the Reavers, a lot of people have been saying, is they want to wait until the full kits come out, because one of the important things about this... what you're seeing here is actually these are the easy build stuff. Yeah. So the things for the Reavers and the Plague Marines, and also for some of the Poxwalkers too, they are the easy build kits, so they're push fit and all that kind of thing. But people want to wait for the real kits so they can just use the helmets to make an entire chapter using those Reaver helmets, which I think will be very, very cool. And also, sort of almost twinned into that as well, I had this really cool idea. I don't know whether maybe it's a bit weird, of making an entire army of Skeletors, because this would be perfect for that. So I'm going to do a whole bunch of guys in purple and blue with yellow faces for Skeletor, which makes perfect sense to me. So yeah.
But are you gonna like green stuff their own little hoods, Ben? Are you gonna give them like the little?
Yeah, definitely.
Wow, okay. You're gonna need to get a castle, yeah.
This sounds like a terrible plan. All I need to do is stick one barbarian down on the field and go, the power, and then your whole army will just keel over after it's whinged for a while. But the chaos stuff, like this is all part of a new, another entry point into 40k that we're looking at.
Yeah, so this sort of folds into. Well, now there are 3 different ways to get into 40k. The first one is, as you'll see here further down the page, First Strike, which gives you a very sort of low-cost entry level to this. In this set, you actually get a couple of the Reavers, you get the Plague Marines that you see there and some of the Poxwalkers. But it also gives you almost like a cut-down version of the world of 40k for you to play in, with very, very small numbers of troops. Because of the way that things are run now in 40k, with that sort of like open system, it kind of caters to this sort of small play as well, which is pretty cool. As you can see, this one comes with a nice playmat. You also get some of the really cool cardboard terrain that you can put together as well, which is cool. And this leads into sort of like the second step, which is called Know No Fear. And this is a little bit like what we saw with Thunder and Blood for Age of Sigmar, where they kind of take the components of the large set, which is Dark Imperium, and they've almost like sort of cut it in half, and they've given you sort of like a smaller entry point into the world, which, you know, doesn't overwhelm you with the miniatures straight away, but gives you basically the sort of key forces you need to get going, and that's where sort of this sits in the mix as well. And then, of course, as I say, you've got Dark Imperium, which is the way you want to go. If you love your 40k and you know what you want to do with your models and stuff. So, yeah.
Cool. What do you think?
I mean, we said it last week, and I think it's fantastic. They're embracing this whole 2-player system constantly now, and having 3 different options for someone who's coming into 40k fresh. It's perfect. I think the way you can expand, and I think this sounds so silly, right? And it's such a fanboy thing to say, but I love that they've adopted the reversible box. I like that they've put a bit of terrain in, and I like that they've put some battle mat on. Because not everyone at home is going to have something to put on the tabletop immediately, be it a grass surface or a nice bit of terrain to play on. So that the fact they're incorporating that, big fan of.
I think it's cool too because they've always been able to put big boxes with lots of miniatures and stuff in it. But there was other manufacturers stepping up to the market and saying, "Here's a mat, here's some cardboard terrain and stuff." And I didn't realize it was the actual box.
Yeah, flipped over just.
It actually becomes the bit of terrain, which is kind of interesting. And is it like that for both those sets?
That's the case with No Fear, but within the first one, because it's just much more of a smaller package. It actually doesn't come with any kind of sort of stuff you could do with the box. Although I imagine you could sort of paint some bits and pieces, I suppose you could. But it has the sort of fold together cardboard pieces that create those containers, which are actually based on some of the plastic sets that exist. So once you sort of get a little bit more into 40k, you can almost replace the cardboard stuff you have with the plastic and stuff, which is pretty cool. So yeah.
Sweet. I know a lot of us will be sitting and looking at it going, I'm never going to play with that. But anyone who wants to put it down on the table and not have like a blank table or books or something.
It's probably not costing anymore for them to do it that way.
Yeah. So we've 3 entry points into 40k now.
Yeah, definitely. The thing for me as well is that obviously if they're going to be sort of spreading out this sort of entry level of access to Warhammer 40,000, it'll be very interesting to see if they sort of go down the route of what they've been doing with Age of Sigmar, where you have these. Of course, you've got the sort of ways into the game through the models, but also if they sort of cut down the rules as well. So maybe we'll have almost like an 8th edition version of Kill Team potentially, on the way, which is pretty cool. We'll see where it goes, I guess. So yeah,
cool, interesting stuff.
Yeah.
For myself, the way I would actually do this is I would buy Dark Imperium first, and then I would buy Kill Team. Because it actually gives you some really useful units in here. So you've got a second captain, a Hellblazer squad, Interceptor squad, and another Primaris Intercessor squad for your Primaris side. You've then got more Plague Marines, more Poxwalkers, and another one of the Bloat drones, or Blight drones, is it? So I think doing one then the other, if you're getting into it, is going to be a really good way to go.
Sweet. But that's the key here, is they're giving people options rather than just saying, that's what you buy. Yeah. You don't want to give them too many options, otherwise what happens is you'll walk into a store and not know what to buy. Yeah,
but using They Shall Know No Fear as an expansion box for you and your mate, I think is a good idea.
But I wouldn't worry about it, because any time I've ever walked into a Warhammer store, the Jedi mind trick, I always come up with something.
It's always the thing is that there's always been that sort of almost intimidating barrier when you look at something like a £90 box of models for, even if it's looking at a parent or something, and then if you can cut it down to something that's around the £40-50 mark for these kind of products as well, it's a lot more inviting for people. So it's a good move, I guess. So.
It also saves parents disappointing any kids, because 90 quid can be quite a lot. And then maybe like someone's got a birthday coming up and they've been going on about something, at least you can rock in and go, well, I have got you at least started. Yeah. Oh, my mate's got this. 90 quid's a bit much for me at this point in time, but that's perfect. Get you in, get started, you're up and playing. Yeah. Perfect. Let's move on, because there's some stuff coming out from Rune Wars I want to talk about.
Yeah.
As you like to look at this stuff, don't you?
Yeah, this has been teased quite a bit, and finally we're getting to see a proper look at the 4th faction. Yeah. Ben, I'll try not to butcher the name here, but the Uthuk Elan?
That's it, yeah.
Elan. That's it. So yeah, these are your kind of chaotic, almost troll-like flesh-ripping beasts. I think if we head over, we can have a quick look at what they're going to look like. So essentially, what's the name of their leader? If we have a look at the whole box there.
Yeah, so they're being led by Ravos the Ever-Hungry, who's very, very cool indeed. He's the guy with the scythe and the sort of bloated body. He actually causes fear in everybody that comes to see him on the battlefield, which I thought was pretty cool, and sort of laying of panic tokens and all that kind of thing, which is awesome.
I want to mention that actually, because anyone that's just been playing the core box of Rune Wars, you may have noticed really that the Takan forces seem a bit strong initially, because you're just playing the core set. They can all inspire, they can gain inspirations, they can rally right out the gate, but These guys are going to come on the field and instantly put panic onto every single enemy model straight away.
Instantly?
Just as soon as you field them. So every unit's going to start with a level of panic. So that's going to give your opponent something to deal with straight out the gate. And they have a number of different abilities that not only are new for the faction, but are actually completely new for the system.
Yeah.
So things like whenever you reveal your dial, you'll get to take a move on top of whatever you reveal on your dial. They're all about, I'll let Ben show a few more pictures and go into it, but they're all about how they spread fear and kind of hurt themselves to do more. Go on, Ben.
Yeah, so as you're going through here, you'll see some of the units that has been talking about that sort of have this cool mechanic to them and stuff. So you've got the Berserkers there, which are pretty fantastic, and then there's the Flesh Rippers too. The Flesh Rippers actually have some really interesting stuff that they can do while they're sort of engaged with units. They can sort of get like a little bit more of an extra attack sort of built into their sort of combat and stuff, which is pretty cool. Sort of just because they're thrashing around all over the place. And then there's the Spined Thresher.
Is this the tiger type looking things we're talking about?
They're the Flesh Rippers, yeah. They are absolutely stunning.
They're so sweet looking.
Yeah. They're the ones that every time you take an action, you're getting an extra move with them to represent that fast kind of gangly movement across the field. And then these guys, these are the Spined Threshers, Ben?
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah, so these guys essentially, just by being engaged with them, you're going to be continually tested. And I think they kind of spread fear as just like a passive ability almost. Mm.
Yeah, and also when they're causing fear to units that are engaged with them, you get to re-roll dice on your side as well. So it's almost like these guys are petrified, so they come up against a Spine Thresher, and then this crushes them under its feet as well. So
yeah, one core part of the game is the morale deck. And up until this point, we haven't really seen a way to manipulate that deck or make it come up more frequently. And all of a sudden, these guys are coming, the Uthuk Elan are coming along, and they're saying, right, we're going to put fear, we're going to put panic, we're going to cause morale tests all the time, and we're going to see just how vicious that can get.
And this all works in really well with the look of the army, because when I'm looking at them, I'm immediately thinking, there's some demon-esque looking stuff going on here. If they rocked onto the table, I think I'd be a little bit panicked.
And I mean, I'm not that familiar, I must admit, with the Ruinbound lore.
Yeah.
But these guys are all coming in from that. So you've now got the Takan, you've got the Waykars, you've got the humans and undead, you've got the Latari elves, and now you've got the Uthics. So now you've got 4 good factions that you're going to see in 2017, all fleshed out. And now I think the system's going to get the models and the armies it needs to start filling out.
And all very distinctive from each other. Because when the Rune Wars first came out as a box set, I'd seen a lot of people going, "Ooh, that looks really interesting," but I also seen a lot of comments going, "Only 2 armies, not for me."
Exactly.
Only 2 armies, not for me.
See,
well, that's gone now. There's 4 armies.
You see, this is the thing. The guys at Fantasy Flight went a different route because they brought the game straight to retail. This didn't have a Kickstarter, if I remember correctly.
No, yeah, that's right.
So doing that, it has to have that sort of slow growth to actually get things up and running.
Yeah.
But it never bothered me, the 2 army thing, because you know that it's going to be more.
Yeah.
What I like is quite like getting on a system when there's 2 armies, because I can get to know the 2 armies intimately before I get swamped with too many opponents coming on, and what you rocking, I'm rocking this, and I'm rocking that. I'm like, okay, let's see what you're going to do to me. I have no idea.
Getting in at the start of a system, there's something to be said for it, and getting in from the ground up and just learning it and growing with it, there's something to be said for that. And these guys, if you want to actually flick back, you can have a look at them again if you have there. They actually come with their own unique terrain.
Yeah.
So not only are they coming with their own support features, they're coming, and each army, Fantasy Flight's actually done this with each of the factions. They've given themselves a specific type of terrain or effect to add into the battlefield, and they come with their own deployment and scenario as well. So, okay, it's not going to be for everyone. You're not going to want to have multiple factions, but at least if your friend has this, you're going to be increasing what you can do with your board as well, which I really like. So seeing companies bringing terrain into their starter sets, it seems to be common, and I love it.
Great, but it's the other thing. If you have 2 mates who have already been playing away at Rim Wars, you've seen them having fun, and neither one of the first 2 factions really jumped out at you. And now this one comes along and it does jump out at you. You can start jumping in and joining in with your friends.
I'm still leaning towards the elves, I think, myself. Yeah, there's something about the mounted sort of saber-toothed tiger leaping in and just doing a huge impactful attack. That being said, the Ravenous here, they have a lot of brutality to them. Yeah, exactly. They have a lot of.
You're gonna get clawed, man.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm loving it.
Cool. Yeah. Cool stuff. Right, now there's a release coming out from Warlord for the Gates of Antares that I want to talk about. Because it's for the Olgarin, right? Yes. And the Olgarin's my faction of choice. I haven't got around to building the stuff yet. I have stuff sitting. It's warming my shelf at the minute, but Olgarin is going to be my faction, so this is tickling me quite a lot.
Okay.
Ben, what have we got?
Yeah, so this is some sort of more special forces style stuff for the algorithm, which are sort of now vying, I would guess, with like the Freeborn for like the coolest faction.
You had me. You had me at Special Forces, man.
So yeah, we've got the Esma Rock, who's sort of like the sort of special forces commando, sort of tactical, no nonsense lady, sort of going into battle with some of her sort of specialist commandos, which I thought was very, very cool. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like the Asari, I think they are from Mass Effect, which I thought was pretty awesome.
That's a good comparison, because when I'm looking at these, this part of the reason I like this faction is I am looking at them going, you look like a Mass Effect character. I can really dig that.
This leads on to the other sort of more sort of gritty squad that's coming out as well, which is the Algreen Hazard squads. And these are the Algreen that have sort of suited themselves up in some more powerful sort of power armor, I guess you'd say, with bigger guns, sort of souped up in different ways, so they can deal with sort of hazardous planets and also hazardous industrial zones at the same time. And it's sort of, obviously, it adds a lot more protection to them as well, which is pretty cool. And it means they can deal with a lot sort of, like lighter vehicles and stuff on different sides, which is pretty awesome. And they just look really, really awesome, which is I thought was great. So yeah.
This is getting me. I'm excited about this. I'm not going to paint my stuff when I finally do get to working on them. In that darker red, I'm going to try and go for a much punchier, think Blood Angels, bright reds.
Okay.
Yeah. You see, this is one of the things that the Hazard Squad's doing for you, Lloyd. In the Algorand, you're not really able to get as much plasma weaponry as, say, the Concord. That big heavy unit, looking at this, everybody's rocking plasma from what I can see, both in the command squad and in the regular squad.
Sweet.
Yeah,
That's going to give you a decent punch on the tabletop, which is what you really want.
The Hazard Squad comes with, I think, as you say, they're souped up plasma rifles. So if you really like the idea of using the plasma I think it's plasma carbines is the actual word. But if you want to use those, then obviously these have got them on hand. Mm-hmm. Interestingly, and when I was looking at the Hazard Command Squad, I was almost looking back to another sci-fi game, and I was thinking that these looked a little bit like some of the larger enemies you got to face in Destiny. And I was thinking it'd be pretty interesting to sort of paint them up in some of the sort of patterns they had for the Destiny sort of races that you came up against.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
I can dig it.
Like the guys from Mars, except not as round.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that tickles me because I like Mass Effect.
Yeah.
My face is tired.
Sorry, my face is tired from dealing with everything.
Didn't like that so much. And I like Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like the price of it because it like skint me with the amount of expansions. But you take those, smush them together and make a tabletop game, and I'm like, release a faction, and I'm like, this is interesting me now. So that's why they're on my shelf. I've got boxes of them.
Yeah.
Boxes of them. Just screaming like, why
Lloyd,
haven't you painted this?
I know, because I've got a Concord faction waiting to be built as well.
That's right, he's gone Concord and I've gone Algorand. Damn, I'm looking forward to getting that out.
Sorry, I was way ahead of you here.
No, sorry guys, this is a new one for me.
Anyway, moving on.
Yes.
Before I get carried away, Wonder Woman's got some stuff coming out with the DC Universe game stuff from what is it again?
Night Models.
Night Models.
Yeah,
Ben, what do you know about this?
Yeah, so Night Models are going to be supporting, obviously, the release of Wonder Woman that came out a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And they've designed some of the models based on the movie versions of the characters that you will have seen. So they've got the really cool version of Diana, Wonder Woman, mounted on her awesome horse there, as well as some of the Amazons that you might recognize as well. So there's Hippolyta and the Themyscira, Amazons as well. So from those sort of scenes on the beach at the start, and then you might have seen in the trailers, you can sort of put together quite a cool little force of Amazons to sort of take the fight to all the bad guys out there in the sort of DC universe and stuff that's coming, especially with the sort of the upcoming Justice League film as well, which I think might feature some of the Amazons back again, which would be pretty cool. So
well,
yes, awesome stuff.
I think it does feature maybe some of the Amazons.
Fine,
I think it does because there's an awful lot of bad guys to fight in it.
Yeah.
But I can see DC running with Wonder Woman to put a lot more movies and stuff out because so far it's been pretty successful.
Important question. Did we enjoy the movie? Have we all seen the movie?
I haven't seen the movie yet.
You know,
someone's been starting a new job and looking at moving houses and doing boring adult stuff like that instead of watching the movie. So no spoilers, the three of you.
Yeah, this is why I like working here, because whenever I go home, I can just go, I've had enough of adulting for today. As if I adult all day.
I have no idea what you mean, but moving on. Movie-wise, if we want to sum it up, I enjoyed the first two acts. I think it loses it in the third act.
Okay.
If you watch it, you might get what I mean.
I will watch it.
That's as far as I'm
It's going to happen.
I enjoyed the first two acts because I thought, okay, this is going to be a bit stupid, but it had a believability to it, even though it's completely unbelievable. And in the third act, I think, nah, you're taking that a little bit too far. Because I've watched Superman versus Batman, and what's happened at the end of that movie makes me wonder, why didn't Wonder Woman kick the crap out of that guy in the first movie? That's all I'm going to say.
Actually, yeah, from watching Wonder Woman, she would have actually had the... Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
All right, anything else coming out of the Guys at Night models, Ben?
Well, just a quick pub quiz fact for you as well, for those people out there.
Oh, okay.
The person that played General Antiope in the film, so when you see it, Robin Wright, she was actually in Princess Bride, who played Princess Buttercup. So she's turned from a princess into a general of an army, which is pretty cool.
Nice
but yes,
transition.
anyway, sorry.
Yeah, like that promotion.
Would you have believed it? She's also the lady who's acting in House of Cards.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
I couldn't believe it myself.
Doesn't look anything.
And even when I was watching it, going, I have to watch the trailer now, and I'm looking like this, going, I can't see this. How is
So
this
that's
possible?
why you've got dual screens, to actually compare movie trailers
Well,
and
I
play
was
them
off.
at the same time.
I was off for a week. I
Oh,
needed
right.
something to waste my time on,
Yeah.
didn't I?
Did you enjoy your week off? Did you
Yes.
get much?
I went exploring around castles and stuff.
Lovely.
I saw your big erection, the big tall
Yeah, it's the
stone
big
one.
round one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
It was
there,
impressive.
I
It was
went there.
good.
It's been 1,000 years it's been standing there. I
Really?
couldn't believe it. I walked up. I said,
Doctor.
look, Anna, we need to go up and touch this. So I'm like this going, that's 1,000 years worth of history right here.
Does she normally need encouragement? Like, just,
But she
just
took
touch it.
photos and I was like this, touching 1,000 years of history. And it's like, why do you want so many photos? And like, because I'm going to send them to the Blood Plunder guys. Because when they were here, they're like, Lloyd, take us to castles. And I suggested to them that they should go to, what's the castle? Carrickfergus Castle.
Yeah,
Okay?
it's actually a Norman castle just outside of Belfast for anyone out there wondering.
But they were into the whole, well, we would just want to see old stuff. And I was like, right, that's where you want to go. But in the end, we didn't go there.
Aw.
We went to a different castle, which is still kind of cool. And we went through a lot of scenery, and they're like, this is like so Lord of the Ringsy stuff. And I was like, yep, we have a lot of that here. Like over that hill over there, if you go over there, it looks like a Warhammer Gamer table because it's like a bit of grass. There's like a little lake, and then there's some cliffs and stuff. Anyway, my point was, I said, Dan, I have to get loads of photos of this to show them what they missed.
Just to keep
It wasn't just to go
Because
to
this
them.
is my plan.
This is the type of rocks we have in Ireland.
If I show them all these castles, they'll have to come back.
strategy.
And
Love
then
it.
we'll get more Blood and Plunder videos, and it'll be great.
Yeah. Honestly, I would love to get those guys back again. I had a lot of fun with their game.
So we did that. So we did the Round Tower. The Round Tower is actually in Antrim. So we did that, and then we did the Antrim Castle, which doesn't exist anymore.
I was about to say, there's a castle.
There's like one portion of it, and then the rest of it's just an outline with slabs where it was and where it burnt. It burnt down in 1922.
Oh, really?
It's so unfortunate. It almost made it to the
Exactly.
future, and then it burnt down.
No, it made it to its future, and then it didn't have a future
Let me
anymore.
put that another way. It almost made it to my future,
There you
and
go.
then it burnt down. But I'm not going to dwell too long on this, but there's like this nice walk along the river. So I've got photos of that. And then I got photos of the bridge, and I'm going to send it to Firelock Games guys, along with the tag, this bridge is probably older than your country. Because they're like, the whole time they're here, like, we just want to see old stuff. So I took him to a cottage, and I was like, yeah, this cottage is pretty old. And he's like, yeah, man, it's older than our country. And I was like, well, there you go. So,
Oh my word!
that's what I was doing.
What? America's about, what, 400, 500 years
I'm not
old?
even going to get into
No,
it.
no, starting now.
'Cause I'm going to look totally ignorant if I get into that. Not even going to get into it. Anyway,
But
where
anyway.
were we? Oh yes, there's more DC stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ben.
there's also new models for everybody who's interested in sort of Justice League expansion and stuff. So there's going to be Martian Manhunter, who's out now as well, and also there's Dr. Fate 2. So if you're au fait with the world of DC, you'll have plenty more characters to get stuck into as you're sort of building your war bands and crews and stuff together.
This Martian guy. Let's see the Martian guy.
Yeah, the Martian Manhunter.
He just screams the Hulk mixed with who is it? Captain America or something like that. He's like
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
he's
whoa,
like
whoa,
a
whoa, whoa, whoa.
love child of the two universes,
Stop.
bursting onto screen.
Cease and desist.
What?
You don't cross the universes.
I just did. I went there.
You went there, you shouldn't have went there, because every DC and Marvel fan out there is after your head.
Well, sooner or later, that's what's going to happen, because now Batman's back into the universe. Not Batman, Spider-Man has
Yeah.
been drawn back in. Now we need a mush up of the two.
No.
Yeah,
no,
hell won't
that's
freeze
like a
over before that
horrible
deal.
love child. Unnecessary.
Is that it? I think we've wrapped up our news.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have.
Yes,
Right.
yeah.
We're going to move on. We've got a discussion coming up about Steamforged Games and Guild Ball. Justin, you want to tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, this one's probably going to make Az a little bit jealous here, because he's been jumping in and enjoying Guild
Yeah, it
Ball a
is.
lot. I got to sit down with the guys from Steamforge to actually have a chat about the new Blacksmiths faction that's coming out soon. We don't chat about everything, just a couple of the actual characters that are coming out, but we'll take a quick break and you'll actually see how the faction's going to really sort of have its theme and
Their balls are pumpkin.
No, wrong one.
No, it's
That's
the Blacksmiths.
Yes. Just watch.
Anime cyberpunk style meets skirmish combat in Infinity. Experience 8 high-tech factions and fight to control the human sphere at the Infinity Hub on beastofwar.com. Become a general of mighty armies at the Kings of War Hub. Take command of elves, dwarves and orcs in this game of masked fantasy combat on beastofwar.com.
So, hi everybody, I am back with Alex and Jimmy from Steamforged, and today we're having a chat about another one of the new factions for Guild Ball. This is one that I kind of knew was coming, and it was one that I've been waiting and hoping to see for a long time. Now, the stuff has been leaked, but it is time to hear what's going on with the Blacksmiths. So we've got two of the guys that you've sort of sneak peeked already, but I'm wanting to chat to you guys about them. So the first one we have is Sledge. Who is this big, burly monster of a man?
So Sledge, very similar to the farmers, when we were talking about blacksmiths, we wanted to introduce something that helped keep them different and went into their trade, worked within the trade, so we're trying to build the flavour from the ground up. So he has a subtype of apprentice.
Okay.
We have masters and apprentices within the blacksmiths.
Okay. And what's this do?
He is the apprentice of another character. The apprentices tend to kind of capitalise on the setup, so to speak, of the masters. And that setup comes from across any of the masters. So when you're doing your team composition, you have 3 of each to make your 6.
Yeah.
So any of those masters could set Sledge up.
Okay.
But the guy to set Sledge up is his master.
Okay. And I assume that's the other card here, yeah?
And that would be Mr. Anvil.
Ah, I see.
So they
I love this artwork. Oh my god, it's amazing.
It's real cool.
They do come as a pair,
right?
But you can split them off. So in terms of your team composition, you just need to pick 3 and 3. You don't necessarily have to go, I'm taking Anvil, I have to take Sledge. You might not want to take Sledge. I don't know why you wouldn't take Sledge. He's got 7 momentous damage on his playbook. But
wait, what?
No. Go back to that playbook.
No. What the hell?
Yeah, right at the end there.
Holy hammers of hell.
Yep.
So basically his wind up comes within his character play Pile Driver, which gives him +3 net hits, which means to hit that 7 damage, you just need 4 successes, assuming you've got Pile Driver up.
Yeah.
And that's just a small amount of damage to put out on somebody.
Yeah, just a love tap.
Just a little bit.
Just a love tap.
So you'll notice by his traits, he's got tutelage with Anvil, which means if he starts his activation within 6 inches, he gets to use a free character play. So I wonder what you'd tend to be choosing on that.
Well, I don't know, because even the long bomb there, that could be really useful there. Having that +4 range, a 10-inch kick.
Yep. Situationally, it can be super useful.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely Pile Driver for just +3 auto hits.
The big part with Pile Driver, the thing that ideally when you're going through the setup that you're looking for, you use your free Pile Driver, you go in, and then you're hoping for wraps. Because the second result on his playbook is that non-momentous Pile Driver. So you're looking for 7 damage, non-momentous Pile Driver. 7 damage, non-momentous Pile Driver. You just keep 7, and you just keep railing. If someone survives 3 7 momentous damages, you've probably done something wrong anyway. I'd assume they would be dead after 3 of them.
Yeah, but even there's one thing I'm seeing here that I love. See this knockback ability?
Yep.
The fact that every last one of his attacks on his playbook, actually, in addition to any successful attack or character play, if the target enemy model, the target enemy model suffers a 1-inch push directly away from him and he gets to follow up.
Yep.
So it's a really, really good ability because it lets him have great crowd control.
Yes.
And it kind of is thematic as well because you imagine him just swinging the sledgehammer in front of him,
sort of
bashing people back, which is really nice. So let's see what Anvil has because I'm really curious about his rules. I'm sensing some heavy hits here, which is really nice.
So very much playing into what I was just saying about that, looking for that reliable 7 momentous damage into Pile Driver. He has singled out. So that's +2 tack onto his boy Sledge. And then you've got While the Iron is Hot, which allows you to make dodges. And and you can choose a goalpost, and the team shifts. Anyone within that pulse shifts towards it. So that's your threat extension.
Yeah.
It's generally sort of a turn one play to get the team as a whole is heavily armored, and they're not very fast. Like this guy's 4'6", and I believe Sledge is 5'7", if I recall correctly.
Well, Sledge is 4'1".
Defense for armor
He's
1.
4'1", and if you look at Anvil's armor,
yeah,
there's a cheeky little armor stat there.
2-3. So he's easy to hit, but
but he's ignoring most of it.
Good luck getting through that. Look at that. That is.
Yeah.
Oh, that is monstrous between the two of them.
So something we should also bring up is a new character trait for the game. Is if we go back to Anvil, we see Sentinel. This is a 1-inch aura. A friendly model in that aura gains +1 armor.
So as long as they have the apprentice subtype.
Yeah.
That's any apprentice, not just Sledge.
Yeah.
Any apprentice would gain that.
That's really, really good. It is tough out as well, which is great. And what's this legendary do? Tested metal.
So this legendary, an interesting thing to say for all the masters of the Blacksmiths Guild is at the start of the game you will pick one of the masters to be your captain for the guild. Now, the guild has 3 masters, 3 apprentices. There are no mascots in the guild.
Okay.
So you'll have one of them will be your captain, and they'll gain benefits. This one being, if he's the captain, when he legendary plays, this model gains +1 attack. All friendly guild models gain tough hide. So it becomes one turn of just, we are going to survive this turn.
Yeah. Yep. Hold the line and push them back.
So one big thing that comes in with this, when you're looking at the masters, something that I believe this is a first in terms of the Blacksmiths, they have 3 players on the pitch with a legendary. And one of those will have a legendary that has 2 effects, but they will all have some sort of legendary. And they can stack up in terms of the legendaries. And you might have a turn, say you've got 2 legendaries which turn your team a bit beatier. You might want to pop those one after the other and then just go in like an absolute powerhouse. And then you could have another one that's more supporty that you save for the next turn when you're expecting the repercussion to come in after your big turn.
Yeah. I'm liking this idea. I'm liking the duality of this faction, the fact that it does feel like the master and apprentices will work really well together as pairs. Hopefully I'm getting that right, or am I off the beaten path?
Something that's super interesting when you look at just the playbook construction of them is you can see the opposites. So you look at Sledge's playbook and it's just non-momentous, pretty much everything else, and just momentous damage. And then you look at Anvil's where it's non-momentous, pretty much everything else, and no momentous damage. We didn't want it to be a case with the captains being your, you'd load up your captain and go wild with them. You do get additional influence on the master when you select them as a captain, but we didn't want that to sort of drive them forward. We wanted it very much this synergy of the work gets done by the apprentices, which is why the apprentices tend to be able to take more influence than the masters. The masters tend to be able to take 3, the apprentices tend to be able to take 4. And then you look at the amount that's generated, it's usually about 4 influence per pair. So usually it'd be 1 on the apprentice, 3 on the master.
Yeah. See, again, this feeds into that thematic thing of feeling like that's how an apprentice and a master would work together, and how that dynamic would actually come across on the Guild Ball pitch. It's going to give this faction a great flavour. I can't wait to see the rest of the faction, because so far these look great. I know we haven't seen any of the sculpts yet. I would ask, but I know it's probably not just yet. Yeah. So I keep us up to date, because this is a faction I really want to get down on the tabletop at some point, because I think it's going to make for some epic Let's Plays. Guys, thanks very much for coming in. It's been a pleasure having you, as always.
Thank you.
Alex, it was your first time here at the studio. I hope you enjoyed spending time with us.
I have.
Guys, we'll move on here. As I'm sure you can guess by the table in front of us, we have been playing some games, so keep your eye out for those. We'll move on. We'll see you in the next one.
Fight for the Iron Kingdoms as a warcaster. Take control of the mighty jacks, arcane devices, and dark sorceries to bring the fight to the War Machine Hub on beastofwar.com. It's time for 28mm World War II action. Will you recreate history or reshape it your way? On the Bolt Action Hub at beastofwar.com.
So that is how the Blacksmiths are going to sort of play. I like the theme of these guys. I like the idea of having masters buffing apprentices to actually get the ball up the field and actually maybe hit people on the way.
It's a nice, those traits is a nice way to mix them. It makes them a very unique faction compared to the other guilds.
Yeah, it's what the guys at Steamforge are great at doing. Each of the guilds has that feel and flavour of how you would expect that guild to actually just run day to day.
Yeah.
You know, so not actually playing Guild Ball, but just doing their daily work. Bringing that onto the pitch is a good idea.
Yeah, love it.
Cool. Sweet.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to move us on into the Kickstarters.
Okay.
Ben, what's first, mate, on the Kickstarter side this week?
So the first we're going to look at is from a company called Arcane Goods, and they have decided to design a little sort of compact way of you can sort of taking all your sort of D&D stuff with you around. And this is the Arcane Note 5th edition styled leather journal and adventurers kit, which I thought was very, very cool, very, very cute as well. And this effectively comes as a cool journal, which contains all the sort of different things you need, like character sheets, note sheets, and stuff like that. But it also comes with a sort of bunch of other bits and pieces too. So you've got things like a collapsible dice tray. There's like a little tiny mini ruler for when you're measuring things out on grids. There's a really awesome sort of Dungeon Master screen. There's bits of grid paper, a whole bunch of different cards too. So when you've got conditioned effects and spells going on, you've got those sort of mixed in as well. There's also some templates at the same time too. And sort of the nature of this was almost sort of going back to what we talked back on previous weekends, where we talked about sort of reducing the size of the amount of stuff you need to carry around with you when you're playing role-playing games. So obviously we talked about trying to do things in 15 mil and sort of downsizing the terrain as well. But this sort of downsizes all the extra sort of kit that you've got to take along with you. And the fact that it is all sort of kept within this really nice looking leather bound sort of journal just was a fantastic little thing for me. And it's one of those things that I kind of don't need, but I kind of think I do want. So maybe I'll be backing this potentially. But yeah, I just really like the look of this one. So yeah.
See, I'm right there with Ben on this one. Although the one thing I like, because I don't like buying myself nice things to write in, because my writing is atrocious. I literally like a drunk child using their feet. Like, it's just awful. So I actually don't like writing in nice things because I feel it ruins it.
It's like a modern problem, that, because I can't write because we spend all day tapping the keyboard like this.
Just like that. Yeah.
So my ability to write is completely gone. So I'm on board with what you're saying, because I'll be signing something, and you know the way you need to sign things 3 times, and the guy's looking at it going, this isn't even the same signature.
So the journal's gorgeous and it looks fantastic. Like, it looks absolutely wonderful. But for me, the pledge option that really interested me was the slightly less one. I think it's only $19. And it comes with the little dice tray, comes with the condition cards, the wee mini DM screen. Because the dice tray is an epic little idea, because it sits flat and you just fold up the corners, 4 little buttons, clip them into place. And whether you're doing RPGing or whether you're doing board gaming, or even just, you're bringing a board game down to the pub and you just need a way to not have stuff run away on you.
See if we can get a picture of the dice tray that's a bit clearer, because we tried to show off the pledge, but there was nothing really to see.
There you go.
So super simple.
Yeah, me and I think me and Lance maybe picked up some of those when we were at UK Games Expo. I actually got one right here. Actually, there you go.
Oh, you sure?
One of them. There you go. So it actually has little buttons in the corner and stuff that you put together and things like that. It's really, really nice.
Go on,
I use them specifically for
do it.
What?
Do it.
Pressure.
Oh, you want me to do it? Okay, there we go. So you do like that. And then see, you've got like the... Oh, that's come apart now. Never mind. But yeah.
Oh, come on, CTs.
God damn it.
You're under pressure now. I see the hands
Oh my
are
God,
shaking.
I'm doing it fast.
You better have some dice to hand.
Oh, here we go. Keep going.
Boom. There you go.
Sweet.
You can see.
See, that's epic.
So I use these for playing Star Wars Destiny, but as you say, they're pretty awesome for when you're playing any kind of board games and stuff as well. And having them for this as well, it means you've got sort of all your dice in your own little tray, so you're not going to lose your D20, your lucky D20, to someone else at the table, I think, as well.
Yeah, and this one's leather, or at least covered that way, and it fits right into the little sleeve. I might even just buy the journal to have it sit in, actually.
This one looks even better, because it looks like it's been made in such a fashion that there's less resistance once it's folded up. Sweet. I love the little embossed wizard that they've been putting on the covers and things.
Yeah, this little dude.
Yeah, just there.
Fantastic.
Look, there it is. Look, just there.
Those
That's
little
sweet.
touches.
But like you, I'm totally on board with this idea of too nice to write.
I don't want to wreck it. It's so pretty.
Yeah, but if you have a friend that's, say, big into the role playing and you want to get them a nice gift for like birthday, Christmas, whatever.
Yes. Or do what I do when I'm DMing, which is scroll all the notes of what happened, and then delegate one of your party members to write them up nice and neat for you after.
Oh,
You're
so
like,
you
want some extra
Lord,
XP?
like, here you go.
Write up the story neat from today's session, because my writing's awful.
Don't give it to Justin.
No. I can write with both hands. They're both awful.
We were playing. What's that game where you destroy the board game as you go by writing all over it?
Legacy? Pandemic Legacy? Pandemic Legacy?
Yeah.
No, we were playing Risk Legacy.
Risk Legacy? Okay.
Justin, write out the name of this, that, and the other, and I was looking at it going,
What is this random squiggle you
I have no idea what the heck. I want to attack Squiggle Land.
I want to attack that one.
But it's
What
no
one?
better.
That one.
It's no better when I write it because it's just misspelt land when I do
So
it.
if anyone wants to buy us early Christmas presents, we need label printers. You know?
Yeah.
Just yes, please.
That's it.
Yeah.
We need like a template that we can download and put into like
Yeah.
Google Docs, and it'll print perfectly to the size of the pages, and then we can drop the pages in and then print them and put them.
Just wait
back.
for that idea to be stolen by the next Legacy title to come out. Yep.
Yeah. Coming to Kickstarter soon.
But yeah, one of the other things as well with this campaign is they've worked really well on the stretch goals and stuff. So you've got some really nice alternative sort of art styles for the interiors of the book and stuff, and for the DM screen as well. So if the sort of original sort of more clean cut style didn't take your fancy, they've also got other options thrown in at the same time as well. But yeah,
You know what? That's a big thing.
Yeah, I'm just loving the look at this. I think it's a fascinating thing to sort of almost pimp out your games a little bit more and sort of add a bit more to the experience of going to do role play and stuff. Because, having something like this and having your character inside here is almost like having it in its own little world and stuff. And I think it's a really cool sort of idea, sort of open it up and then get ready to game as well. So, yeah, it's got a nice feel to it. Yeah.
Sweet.
Nice little thing.
Ben, I'm going to move us on, unless you have anything else.
No, just
because
wallets twitching.
I believe you've spotted some terrain and stuff you'd like to look of, Ben.
Yeah, so we see a lot of campaigns out there on Kickstarter that are doing a whole bunch of stuff with 3D printing now as well. But I wanted to focus in on a company, Apocalypse Miniatures, who are actually doing a lot more of the sort of handcrafted sort of resin side of things at the moment as well. And so they've designed this stuff which is from the old world into the wild fantasy. And this is a whole bunch of different buildings that they've done in 28mm scale for you to use in your sort of role-playing games, your tabletop skirmish games, and all sorts of different things. They have a whole array of different buildings on offer at the moment. So you've got the likes of storehouses, barns, there are towers, townhouses, apothecaries, a couple of traders' shacks and things like that. There's pigsties and, of course, the obligatory ruins that everybody needs. And they're sort of also working towards a whole bunch of other bits of terrain as well. They've got a couple of little bits of add-ons as well, so you can add to the bases too. But as I say, the main reason I wanted to sort of highlight this is that it adds that sort of almost sort of characterful classic look to the sort of terrain you'll be playing around with on the tabletop.
Look at
and it's the stuff that I really like, especially in the sort of like era of looking back with nostalgia. This sort of hit that nerve with me. So yeah, it's really cool.
Ben, it's got mushrooms, mate.
It does. It has classic mushrooms to put all over your bases. Yes.
My God, they're tiny.
That's
How big
cool.
are those? What, 3-4 mil?
I don't know.
Maybe.
It's all very 80s looking. It's like really retro way back there looking terrain, this.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's the fact that you're going to get all this stuff that will fit in really nicely with, that sort of old style adventuring that you're doing. And if you love the ranges from the likes of, well, for example, Otherworld, they do this sort of old Hammer style to their models, and I think this sort of fits in really nicely with that kind of vibe and that kind of feel. And it's something that I think people are really starting to hark back towards nowadays, in sort of like over the last year or so. And so it's nice to see a company who's doing the sort of old methods, the resin casting and stuff, and bringing it together on the tabletop in some really nice little sort of vignettes, I guess. So yeah.
One thing I really say for this, and I think it harkens back to what Ben's saying about how they're going about it, is that the Kickstarter page isn't covered in 3D renders. You're seeing exactly what you're going to get because you're seeing how they've sculpted it, how they've put it all together, and every little detail there on it is what you're going to get. And so I think they look fantastic. They really. I don't know if I could paint them to that standard though.
I'm assuming they're going to be resin.
Yes, they're all resin. Yes. Yeah.
See, this for me is they're quite big lumps of resin, and they come on. They come on. Do you like the bases they come on? Because the bases look a little bit chunky. I mean, the buildings themselves I quite like. Yeah. I'm not sure about the. I think I'd prefer if the buildings came without base.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
So you could
incorporate
do
them in
what
easily.
you want.
Yeah.
I had to build them.
It kind of would set them out of the field a little bit too much. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but
if you
I
scroll
wonder,
back
are they single resin blocks, or is this attached? It actually looks like it's attached in this picture here, so maybe.
Well, as in glued on, but I think it's just one big cast. Maybe I don't know.
That's what I'm wondering.
I think most of them are one big cast. So what you're seeing is a lot of stuff is that it just comes as one piece, and then you just paint it up. So it's basically ready to go effectively when you look at it. I'm not too worried about the basing and stuff, because I think that if you're going to be using this, probably in your sort of home games and stuff.
Just here, scroll up slightly, Justin. See, now we're looking at the
trough.
The trough. Yeah,
it's a trough.
Now the thing is, I'm looking at that going, that doesn't need to be on that big round base. That would be better just sat down. This is what I'm talking about.
And you could put it along the side of a building, but as soon as you pop it on a base, then you can't.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas as the bridge doesn't have a base, so you can just pop. At least it's not much of a base. You can just put that wherever you want.
Yeah. The way that I see it is that I think for a lot of people, most of the time you're going to be using this kind of terrain on your own tables. So if you're going to be building up a terrain set that is based around this sort of fantasy world or whatever, you're going to try and base the terrain you have on what your table looks like. So if you sort of just mix it into what you're kind of doing in the sort of aesthetics and the sort of terrain types that you're working on, then I don't think it's too much of an issue, really. And I think for some of them, it almost sometimes helps with almost like a little bit of like a sort of adding to the character potentially as well. So you've got the stuff around it too, so it doesn't look too much of an abrupt change into the building, if you know what I mean. I mean, maybe I'm just coming at it from a completely different angle, but I don't mind it. I think the bases are quite cool. So
it is nice seeing the little like piles of wood and the little barrels and the little bits and pieces that kind of sit around the models that bring them to life a little bit more. I definitely agree with that.
Here we go, like the Stone Watchtower, for example. The base is a bit domineering. The building itself, I like that a lot, but I'm not so sure I like the base style.
It all comes down to your own personal preference of what you like style-wise for these kind of things, because me personally, I'm in the camp of I like the high detail, razor sharp 3D printed stuff that we're seeing these days.
Well, it's only razor sharp. It's only razor sharp if you have a really good 3D printer to make it razor sharp. And
yeah, but
to get a 3D printer that's razor sharp is
yeah. But for me, I'm moving away from actually even wanting to own stuff that's that older style.
Let me just throw this out there. You can't get a 3D printer that's razor sharp without spending mega bucks and going through a 3D printing process that's completely different to the 3D printers we're all buying. 3D printers are at a stage where you can print decent enough terrain. Yeah, it all looks super sharp on the computer, but once it's printed, it has all those lines and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there are ways to deal with those. And whenever you're looking at something that's for a Kickstarter, any company that's coming along to do that 3D printed stuff, they're really going to be researching and actually not looking to buy something that's just a standard, something that a consumer would buy. They're going to look for something that's a bit more high end to actually put out their final product.
That's interesting because you have the hassle factor. Do I back a Kickstarter that's for 3D printed things and then go through what may be hassle for yourself to try and print them properly? Yeah. Or do I just back a Kickstarter that's going to deliver me the stuff done, but you're probably going to get a lot less bang for your buck actually paying for physical stuff to arrive than you would going down the 3D printer route?
It depends, because the 3D printing side of things can become a hobby in and of itself, actually figuring out what's good, figuring out the tolerances, how it all works, how to actually do the 3D design.
You can't forget the cost of the 3D printer at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's nice enough stuff. Anyway, we could talk about that for ages, but I don't want to dwell on it. Right, that brings us to the end of the show. If you've enjoyed that and it's your first time on Beasts of War, we actually have two shows going on in the weekend. We have the Weekender here on the Saturday, and then we have our extra long backstage show, the XLBS show, that goes out on the Sunday. So if you've enjoyed that, come on over to beastsofwar.com, get yourself an account, and we will see you on Sunday.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now, and be sure to check out beastsofwar.com for the latest gaming news and gaming Let's Plays. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe, and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.